are the Great Lakes, America's inland seas. Discovered in 1634 by the French Jesuits, they include half of all the fresh water in the world. A cruise on these scenic, sheltered waters brings an active realism to those dreams of travel and adventure that so many of us enjoy. Passengers may start from Chicago, Detroit, Buffalo, Cleveland, or Duluth on one of the beautifully appointed sister ships, the North American and the South American, with assurance that the moderate cost of the 2,200-mile cruise will be repaid many times by the endless pleasure of happy recollections. Many people, when crossing the country by rail, break their trips by traveling on the North American between Buffalo and Chicago. Often, persons who are unable to take advantage of the full cruises take one-way trips. Passengers may also stop off at any port of call and rejoin the ship at a later date. The full 7-day Voyageur cruise of the North American includes such interesting points of call as Chicago, Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, the Sioux, Mackinac Island, and Georgian Bay. Aboard ship, a well-trained crew of 165 takes care of the needs and comforts of the passengers. Every stateroom is an outside room with hot and cold running water. On the Adventurer cruise of the South American, such ports of call as Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, Mackinac Island, the Sioux, Duluth, and Houghton are visited. Each a place of steammobiles are carried on these queens of the lakes, which are devoted exclusively to passenger service. To learn for ourselves what one of these wonderful cruises is like, let's board the SS South American. Both ships begin their operations between the middle of May and the middle of June on special charter and convention cruises, when organizations charter these vessels for their exclusive use. From the middle of June until Labor Day, the ships are on their regular 7-day cruises. The North American sails from Chicago every Saturday, while the South American leaves Buffalo on Saturday, then Cleveland and Detroit on Sunday. Following Labor Day, the ships sail until the middle of September on special charter and convention cruises. Now, the blowing of the whistle tells us that the South American is about to depart. The ship's orchestra strikes up some lively music, playing numbers like Anchors Aweigh and Sailing. Then confetti and serpentine, supplied by the ship's social department, are thrown over the rails, creating a colorful and happy scene. The departure of one of these beautiful ships resembles closely the beginning of a transoceanic sailing from New York or San Francisco. On their regular cruises, the North American and the South American carry over 10,000 passengers each year on vacation voyages, with every state in the Union represented. In recent years, many people from foreign countries traveling in the United States have taken advantage of these trips over America's inland seas. On the spring and fall charter cruises, the vessels handle another 10,000 passengers. After dinner, we settle down in our deck chairs to relax and to watch a lovely sunset, the kind that delights us so often as we travel across the sparkling waters of our inland seas. In the evening, the passengers gather in the Grand Salon, where Miss Mary Lou McIntyre, our ship's social director, presents Captain Spute, a veteran of the lakes who knows every foot of these inland seas. He, in turn, introduces some of the ship's officers. Mr. Green, Chief Steward, Mr. Griffith, Chief Purser, and Mr. L, the dining room steward. After a refreshing night's sleep, we awaken early in the morning to find ourselves cruising along through the deep blue waters of the northern part of Lake Huron. You will note that the ship is a gleaming white, for it is an oil burner, which means that no smoke, soot, or cinders will ever mar the pleasure of your voyage. Right after breakfast, the first activity of the day is announced over the loudspeakers, a mile hike. That means that those who are interested in a morning constitutional will march 9 times around the deck of the ship. At first, some of the passengers are a bit reluctant to participate, but by the end of the week, they're all taking part and thoroughly enjoying the fun. Here you will meet people from all parts of the country. The one marching ahead of you may be from Arizona or California, Maine or Florida, and many of them, you will learn, have taken this voyage over and over again. There is a lure to the Great Lakes that draws them back year after year. Already the cares of everyday life are far away as we feel the cool, bracing air of the lakes. Another activity that is very popular aboard ship is horse racing. In this easy-to-play game, dice are thrown and small wooden horses are moved forward according to the dictates of the ivories. Participants often become so excited over the progress of their favorite steed that you would almost think they were witnessing a real horse race. But what fun they're having. Many passengers on their first day out are content to relax in their deck chairs. But such is not the case with many of the young college people who work on the ship as bellboys, waitresses, and so on. These high-spirited young people put on 1 or 2 big crew shows every week, and they must use every available hour to practice their numbers. Here, some of the artists await their turns to rehearse. You will always find the lovers of the sun high up on the sun deck. Some sleeping, some reclining, while others sit in comfortable deck chairs, just relaxing and watching the scenery drift lazily by. This young man is looking at a map in an attempt to discover where on earth we're going on this cruise, and he finds that one of the main ports of call will be Mackinac, often called the Bermuda of the North, and long a world-famous resort. As the South American approaches the dock, we enjoy our first close-up view of this unique island. But now we are expected back at the ship. The whistle blows, the passengers hurry aboard, the orchestra plays more departure music, and as we move slowly out into the straits, our gaze rests once more upon this charming island, which can proudly boast of having no mosquitoes, hay fever, or automobiles. As we are enjoying this lovely sunset and the beauty of early evening, passengers on our sister ship, the North American, are cruising among the 30,000 islands of Georgian Bay, and like us, are transfixed by the beauty of the night. That evening, as we are northbound up the St. Mary's River toward Lake Superior, Miss McIntyre again summons us to the Grand Salon, where she tells us that we will be entertained by one of the ship's famous all-crew shows. And what a delightful occasion that is. Supported by a full orchestra in the background, many members of the crew, bellboys, waitresses, busboys, and so on, perform here most expertly, singing, dancing, pantomiming, telling stories, and often displaying exceptional talents. This young lady is actually a ballet dancer, but finds herself a bit handicapped by the lack of space at her disposal. However, she seems to thoroughly enjoy the tender love song being sung to her by the handsome tenor. One of the boys from the galley does a very fine tap dance. He is followed by an acrobatic dancer from Marygrove College in Detroit. This young lady ends up on the grand piano, which is then used in the normal manner by 2 members of the crew who do a splendid rendition of Malagueña. This amazing display of talent is especially noteworthy when you consider how little time the performers have to prepare their numbers, for all rehearsals are held during their off-duty hours. Often, gifted passengers enter into the spirit of the occasion by sharing their talents with the other guests. The Wilsons, a professional husband and wife dancing team, are a splendid example. Next, we enjoy a catchy sort of Florodora number, which has a rather surprising twist at the end. After about an hour, the show is brought to a smashing climax when the entire cast, accompanied by the orchestra, sings a rousing song about sailing on the lakes. The audience is obviously very enthusiastic about the fair. After the program, we ascend to the top deck, where we thrill at the view of Lake Superior, shimmering in the magic light of a full moon. Early morning finds us really up in the far north, as the South American glides effortlessly past the rugged shoreline of Grand Island. Directly ahead, the town of Munising nestles along the shore, backed by high wooded hills. It's a quaint town, overlooking one of the most beautiful harbors on the Great Lakes. The municipal dock easily accommodates the South American. There is always a crowd watching the ship come in,